Hey friends, and welcome back to the Influence Makers podcast. I'm your host, Brooklyn Dinesen, and today's episode is one that I'm really looking forward to. I'm incredibly honored to be joined by someone who has really inspired me over the past few years in my entrepreneurial journey, and that is Danielle Wiebe, the founder of Bloom Business Collective. So I've been following Danielle for the past couple of years now, and I've had the chance to actually attend one of her events last year. Let's just say it was so inspiring. It was a very eye-opening to see so many amazing people in one room and how this woman can just bring people together like no other. It's just so cool to watch. And yeah, so Danielle is a collaboration expert, a community builder, an event strategist, and the host of a top 1% globally ranked business podcast. Through Bloom, she's created a space where women entrepreneurs can feel seen, supported, and empowered to take bold action. So Danielle, welcome to the show. I'm so happy you're here.
Thanks so much. That was such a beautiful, warm welcome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I mean every word of it. Like, so inspiring. And I know so many other people can agree with me. You just have this warm vibe about you, this authentic vibe that it comes across really well. And even when I saw you in person, it's the same. What you see online is the same person that you see in person. So I love that.
Thanks for saying that. That's my hope and my goal is to show up authentically online as I would in person. So thank you. I'm glad that that's coming across.
Oh, that's of course. So I want to start off by diving into your journey. So you've been an entrepreneur for quite a long time now. It's been around 10 years, right?
Yeah.
You started your business 10 years ago?
Yeah, this business that I'm running today, yes, it's been 10 years. Before that, I had a few other entrepreneurial starts to having my own business. Really, when I started in university, I started my first business when I was just outside of high school, really. I think I was 20 years old when I started my first business, and I'm now 34. So I guess it's been about 14 years.
Wow,
it's
congrats.
been a journey.
That is a journey. That's a long time.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've learned so much. And I think, I'm very curious what inspired you to start Bloom Business Collective. And I know it used to be called Vancouver Business Babe. So I'm curious to hear about the rebrand as well. Love the rebrand, by the way. Love the colors. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much. So, man, it has been such a journey, like I said. And when I started 10 years ago, there's no way that I would have anticipated what this would become. And really, it was my desire for connecting with more entrepreneurs, because as I started getting into the business world and as I started to get my own clients and start running my own business, I realized how isolating it was. For one, it was really challenging. I've been working from home. I have had a few jobs outside of working from home, but I would say like big girl jobs have all been working from my laptop, from my kitchen table, or from my home office, or on the couch, or from bed sometimes, although I don't want to admit that.
I love it. Hey, I do.
And so the entrepreneurial journey can be really lonely because you're always by yourself. And so I wanted to connect with other like-minded women that were also building businesses. And I had done a lot of networking in local city where, we're both from Vancouver. But as I started networking, realizing that there wasn't necessarily a community for young women specifically, and women that were trying to collaborate and learn from each other and grow. And so at the time, being like a 20-something trying to figure it out, I met some people that I really resonated with. And so I kept in contact with them. And then one day I was like, you know what? I'm just going to host my own event and going to bring together some of these awesome people because I think they should also meet each other. So it was kind of my way of creating that community really that I was looking for. And so I hosted that first event. Like I said, 10 years ago. It's a little bit more than 10 years ago, almost 11 years ago now, which is crazy. And it really started as just like one event. I never anticipated that it would turn into anything. But after that event, I had a couple people come up to me and say like, okay, well, when's the next one? Like, we're in. I was like, okay, so
okay, there's something here.
And so then it really just unraveled from there as far as, okay, so now at the time, And I think this platform, pretty sure, still exists today, but it's called meetup.com. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to create a meetup group. And there's a few people that joined that. And I invited people that I knew to join that. And I just started hosting these little monthly events. And a lot of them were at random places. I would find just small little locations, whether it be like a hair studio or a clothing store or like a coffee shop, wherever would really allow me to host for free. Because at the time, I wasn't making any money from this. It was just like a passion project. And then I started charging $10 for a ticket and tried to cover my costs basically with what I was doing. And definitely the first couple of years were really wild. I learned so much. And then I started realizing, like, it was about a year, I would say it was probably about a year in, that I realized, wow, this is actually, there's something to this. Like, people are desiring this type of platform, this type of community. At the time, Instagram businesses were starting to use it for promoting their products and services. And so I used Instagram to really grow our network and try to promote the events that we were having. And then I would feature other entrepreneurs and things like that. So we grew quite quickly there, and realizing, like, okay, this could actually be something that I do. This could be a business of its own. And that really shifted my mindset into thinking, okay, how can I make this into something that lasts? This is something that is sustainable. This is something that could last 10 years as it has now, and 20 years, and hopefully longer. And whether or not it's me running it 10 years from now or 20 years from now, I want this to continue to exist and to thrive. And so then started really figuring out, okay, what does my community really want? What are important things? And so we started to offer mentorship, and we started to offer, mastermind groups and educational, because I realized, I went to school for business. I've been an entrepreneur.
Cool. Yeah. That's
awesome. I
awesome.
studied business in university, studied business and marketing, and got my bachelor's degree there. And as I started, my own entrepreneurial kind of businesses before I started the community, I realized how many people didn't really understand the foundations of business and marketing and those kind of things. And so started teaching that. Yeah. And then during COVID, it was crazy. At that time, we had been running the business for 5 years. We actually ended up expanding. Sometimes I don't include this because it's a long story. It's been 10 years, but we actually expanded to 5 different cities across North America at that time. So we were running events in all those cities. And then when 2020 happened, when 2020 happened, we had to immediately stop all of our events. We completely lost 80% of our revenue overnight. And so that was a time where I realized, okay, I need to pivot, and we really need to focus on not just in person, but online. And so that's when we started the podcast. That's when we really started to ramp up the online portion of our community. And so now we have both. So that's where we are now. We have a really thriving online community. We also have a thriving in-person community where women collaborate, they work with each other, they refer each other, they support each other. It's really, really cool. So hopefully that answers your question.
You answer the question perfectly. And thanks for walking us through, the journey from, when you started to now. That is so inspiring. And I love that you were just willing to just try it, and also just to pivot as well during 2020. That's not easy to do, especially when you've been used to doing events for so long. You're like, oh, now I have to change the way I show up. But you have done that fantastic. And I'm sure that wasn't easy. Were there any mindset shifts that you had to have during that time? Because that must have been really hard for you.
Definitely. I think it was a really humbling time. At that time, we were really, I felt like, at the height of our success. And I remember thinking, wow, this is so amazing. And I'm so excited that I get to do this. And I remember, because I love events. I love hosting events. I love bringing people together. And so initially, when we were recognizing that, okay, the reality is that we're going to have to cancel all of our events and do things online, the initial part of it, honestly, was okay, because I was like, how can we serve our community in a different way? And I recognized, okay, because people are right now feeling very isolated and no one can, connect in person, let's just pivot that online and create that same experience that people have when coming to our in-person events for our online events. And so we did that. And I would say the first 3 or 4 months, it was really great. And then it was the fall of that year that I really felt like I had like a moment where I felt really defeated because we had continued to try to host the in-person events because, whether or not a lot of people remember, because I feel like we all kind of block that season out a bit.
Yeah, I can relate to
But it was
that.
like, yeah, it was like, oh, you are able to do events. Oh, wait, no, you're not. And, there was all this up and down happening. And so we had tried several times to host events and then we had to postpone them or cancel them. And I remember in the fall of that year feeling so discouraged and also having to recognize like, okay, this is a really important moment for me because I realized that I had put a lot of my identity in like the business and how the business was doing. And I had, had this identity in being that events person that, I host in-person events. That's what I do. That's what I'm good at. Like, this is what I can do. And so having to really pivot and learn new skills and learn how to run the business in a totally different way was really humbling because I'm not great at technology. People that know me know I'm really not like technically savvy, which is hilarious that I have a podcast and I do all these online events now. But I really had to learn all of that. And it was super challenging for me. And I think it was a good reminder, though, that, we can't put our identity in our businesses. It's totally separate from us. And we have to think of it as its own entity and its own thing. And we pour into it and we're the ones that drive the business forward, but we can't attach any of our own identity to it, which is really hard to do when it's so all-encompassing as many of our businesses are. But it was a really great learning experience, and I feel like my mindset shifts were like, okay, there's no guarantees. So for me, recognizing what I've done in the past isn't what it's going to work now. And I've gone through several shifts of that too, recognizing, okay, the way that I used to do things got me to this point, but now to get to the next level, I need to learn new skills. I need to do things a different way. And so I'm always learning and always evolving with that. And I think as an entrepreneur, you have to have that mindset because things are constantly changing. Your ideal clients are constantly shifting what they need from you and what's required. And so that constant growth is really what I think is one, really challenging about entrepreneurship, but also kind of the exciting part. And I think it's probably why I'm an entrepreneur, because I kind of in a weird way like the challenge of it.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Yeah, it's like we like it, but you don't at times. Like at least for me, I'm like, but that's good. Like you thrive obviously with this because you to see where you started and where you're now, like takes a lot of courage and a lot of grit to do that. So I really applaud you for that. And thanks for sharing that moment in your life or that season of your life in 2020. I know that was really hard for everyone and even for myself as well. So thank you.
Yeah.
So you've shared before that you've craved, depth and like more collaboration, something deeper than just like surface level networking. You mentioned that a lot in your content and on your website. So how would you define like meaningful connection now, nearly a decade, building this community?
Yeah, I think that how I see it is that it's so much more than just networking to try to gain something from someone. So when I think about building connections, when I think about, let's say, networking, and I still use that word because people are very familiar with that word. So a lot of times the way we describe our events is like, yes, they're networking events, but what I'm trying to have people understand and like shift their perspective of that the purpose of networking events or going to an event, like let's say to build connections for your business, is really to build relationships. And if you look at it as building relationships rather than just networking for your business, you look at it so differently. Instead of thinking about, okay, what can I get from this person that I'm talking to? You think, okay, how can I help this person, or how can I serve this person? And you think of it more as a connection relationship that's long term rather than short term and transactional. What I'm really trying to build with Bloom Business Collective is a community of women who are truly wanting to support one another and wanting to collaborate and wanting to help each other succeed. I think, it's kind of a trendy saying, but like collaboration over competition. But I think really I'm trying to help people really embody that and not think of other people as competition, and think of them as, these are my greatest connections and collaborations. And I can tell like story of opportunities where I've collaborated with people that would technically be considered my direct competition. And it has been some of the most fruitful collaborations I've ever done in my life. And I can also give examples of other people in all different industries who traditionally have been taught to see each other as competition, and how can we crush the competition, or how can we be better, or how can we stand out, and all these kind of like this wording, right? And it's like, I believe that we all have a purpose with our businesses. We all have a very unique lens and a unique way that we run our business. And so I think there's more than enough room for everyone. And it's when we get into this mindset of how do we beat out the competition, that's when we actually lose the authenticity and the what makes us different and what actually makes us stand out. Because we're looking at the competition being like, not necessarily trying to copy them, but we end up emulating them because we're trying to compete. And so what if instead we looked at how could we work together, collaborate, how can we support each other? And it doesn't necessarily have to mean you're promoting each other all the time. It just means that you're like having conversations like, hey, what's working for you? Or I noticed you're doing this. Like, I would love to have a conversation with you because it's really cool, because it might be something that I don't particularly offer for my clients that I would love to like refer you business. I've seen people, and done it myself, host events together with quote unquote their competition. And it ends up being really amazing and really cool because they're sharing communities, they're sharing ideas, they're sharing their perspectives. And I think that as soon as you can make that mindset shift, that's when the doors are going to open for you, for sure.
I completely agree. I think that's really what changed my life, that perspective, getting into this industry. Because I remember, I'm sure you could relate to this. Who am I to jump in and start a business or show up online? Because I'm like, there's like thousands of other people that are doing the same thing. But once I realized there's enough room for everyone at the table, everyone can win, I think. But you have to believe that, because to your point, if you just think everyone's competition, your world's just going to get smaller and smaller. And I think it's no coincidence the success that you've had. Like, you're such a giver, and you truly believe like there's enough room for everyone. And that's how you build, a sustainable business. And instead of thinking, oh, I need to beat the competition, because I totally agree. That type of language is just don't live by that either. So I love that you said that.
Yeah. And I think the important part that I want to also share is like, it's so much more freeing to think like that, to think abundantly, and to look at people doing similar things to you and thinking, wow, that's inspiring. I love what they're doing. How can I support them? How can I help them? And even like, I think a good way to even practice this is to connect with the people that are doing similar things and ask them to go for offer to go for a coffee with them.
I agree.
My daughter's
That's a great tip. Oh, she's so cute. Oh, yeah. You have 2 kids, right? I saw in your.
Yeah, I do. She's gonna say hi.
Hi, welcome to the podcast. My little one is actually just sleeping right now as well. I totally get that. Trying to balance business and motherhood. So good on you.
Thanks.
Hi. Oh, she's so cute. Oh.
Sorry about that.
Don't apologize.
Intermission.
I'm a mother myself, so that has happened so many times, even on like some client meetings I've had, and I'm just like, oh, here's my kid, and like he's at the stage where he's like very chatty. He's 1.5, so it's like you don't hear him. So
Yeah, totally, totally.
yeah, well,
Yeah, I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, so it is busy over here, that's for sure.
that's busy. Yeah, that's a busy house. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, on the topic of motherhood, how is that navigating, like going from
Mm.
yeah, like not having kids to then, having kids, and then now you have this business that you want to continue. I'm sure there was a lot of like fears, before going into that, as it was for me when I was like last year when I had my firstborn. I'm like, how am I going to make this work, right? So yeah, would you mind sharing your experience briefly about that?
Yeah, I'm more than happy. I think that there have been so many amazing moments where I've been like, okay, this is so cool that I get to work from home, run my own schedule, have flexibility to, be present and be like with my kids when I want to be with my kids and take time off, take longer weekends if I want to, all of that. And then there's been moments that have been super challenging, and it's recognizing. And I think one of the things that I've realized is that I always knew I wanted to have kids. I always knew that was in my future for me. And I think that when you make that decision, you're also making a decision to shift your priorities, right? And so I think the biggest thing that I really had to recognize was that, okay, now my business is my secondary priority. My kids are my first priority. And that can be challenging because you do have goals and you do have
Mm-hmm.
ambitions for what you want to create with your business, right? And
Yeah,
she's
I
coming again.
completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's a
so
challenge for us ambitious women. It's
yeah, and so I think that when we can recognize that it's okay to put some of your dreams on the back burner because these kids are more important than anything else. And so I think it's also recognizing what season of life that you're in. And I have a lot of things as a bit like from a business perspective that I really want to achieve, that I really want to do. And right now is not the season for that, and I'm okay with that. And I
hmm
know that there will be a season where they won't need me as much. And
yeah,
so it's
totally.
going to be okay, right? Like it's going to be putting those things on pause and then being able to pick those things back up when it makes sense to do that.
Oh, I completely agree. And like being able to say no is hard, but it's actually so
Mm-hmm.
freeing, whenever you're in the season, it's like, no, my kids are a priority right now. I have the capacity. It's like so freeing. So I love that. So a lot of entrepreneurs, want to collaborate, obviously, in your world and even in mine. Like we're all wanting to collaborate somehow, but a lot of us feel intimidated or unsure, where to start. Do you have any advice you could give someone who wants, start collaborating more with more confidence? What would you give that person? Even like a little
Yeah.
piece of advice just starting out.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to putting yourself out there and connecting with other people, I think the best thing that you can do is think about it as everyone else is just as nervous probably as I am. And I think when you can really understand that, in that you are not the only one that's feeling nervous coming to this event. There's other people that are also coming on their own. Most of the people that show up to our events are coming by themselves. So they're not coming with another
Right.
friend, right? And so when you recognize that and you just come with an open heart, as cheesy as it is, but you come and you just say like, okay, who can I connect with? Who can I start that conversation? And sometimes it just takes those 10 seconds of courage to be like, hey, I'm Danielle. What's your name? You really just break the ice of like, hey, have you been to an event like this before? Are you excited? All these kind of things. You can just start with this small talk. And then as you start to build that confidence in yourself, you can ask them more about themselves and where are they from and all those things. And it's just taking those steps to make those connections. I know it can be so scary at the beginning. And trust me, even myself, someone who hosts events, when I go to other events that I'm not hosting, I get those butterflies all the time. I'm not more confident or more secure necessarily. It's just more that I've done it. And so I know that even if I'm feeling nervous, it's okay, Danielle, you've done this before. All you have to do is be courageous, start up the conversation, and see where it goes from there. And I think that when you do things like that that are outside of your comfort zone, that's where you're going to find the most opportunities. Because if you just stay in your own little bubble, you're not going to be able to grow. And I think so many people, I think that online is amazing and we can grow so much through social media and through online. But I think we also need to pair that with the in-person experiences with meeting other people in person. There's just nothing I think that can replace that. And so I think that's really key.
Oh, I completely agree. Some of the best moments I've had have been in person, and it's obviously it's just obvious because you're seeing that person in real time instead of virtually. So, I love that. So what's one thing you wish every woman entrepreneur knew about building a sustainable and profitable business? If you could give one piece of advice.
Oh, it's such a good question. I think it's surrounding yourself with other people who are dreaming just as big or maybe even bigger than you, and people that will challenge you, people that will hold you accountable, people that will cheer you on. Again, I think in this world, especially in the entrepreneurship space, people are so isolated and so lonely. And so when they have those moments of second guessing themselves or having a down day, we all have really hard days. I had one yesterday where nothing was really going my way. And it was like, this is what entrepreneurship is. We have days where things are going really well and we have those like high highs. And then we have really low lows as well. And so surrounding yourself with other people who get it, surrounding yourself with other people who can speak into those situations and speak into your life and say, hey, you're doing a great job and there's nothing wrong with you. And you're not the only one that is struggling with these things. And it's the tenacity, right? It's falling down and then getting back up again and doing it the next day. And realizing that, you know what, if you've had a hard day, it's not like that's a hard day and that's okay, but tomorrow is going to be better. And it's so much about mindset of you really have to be optimistic that today was hard, tomorrow's going to be a better day.
So true. Oh my goodness. That is just mic drop right there. That is just, I think, honestly, I feel like we need to be reminded of that more often because I think sometimes, majority of the time you're kind of in that low point where you're like, oh, this isn't working, or, that post didn't go well, or that email didn't go as well as I thought. And it's so easy to get down on yourself. But to your point, tomorrow's a new day, as cliche as that sounds. It literally is so true. And are there any practices that you do? Do you like a lot of journaling? Or is it more just like a habit that you've built in your head of, I'm going to, have a great day today? Are there any tools or tips that you do?
It's such a good question. I think that, again, when it comes to surrounding yourself with other people who can speak truth into your life, who can speak and encourage you, that also know you. I think that that's such the value in, like, whether it be mentorship or just being a part of communities that support you. And, for me, community is so important, obviously, with like what I do, but then also even outside of that, like for me, my church is my community and that's really important to me too. And so they speak into me from a different perspective, but
I love that. Me too.
That's awesome. And like journaling, prayer, like you said. And I think sometimes it's good to know like when to step away, because I think sometimes there's this idea that we just have to like push through. And when we're having a hard day, it's like, well, just check off all the things on your list and then you're going to feel better. And sometimes that is the answer, because you're like, well, I do need to get things done, but you have to recognize for yourself, when is it okay to actually step away and either take the rest of the day off and maybe spend some time in prayer, or call up a friend, or call up a mentor, or go for coffee with someone, or whatever, or take the rest of the day off and be with your kids, whatever that is for you. But sometimes it's important to recognize when is that, because we also need to take care of ourselves emotionally, physically, spiritually, to show up really well for our business. And sometimes we don't recognize the signs of like burnout or exhaustion until we're like way far past that. And we're like,
Yeah.
how did I get here? What do I do now? And again,
Yeah.
like I talked about earlier, 2020 was that for me. It was like, whoa, this is, and actually, I didn't mention this before, but that's also when I found out I was pregnant with my first. It
Oh,
was like in that
wow.
same time period. And so I was like pregnant with my first. I was like feeling so down and so burnt out and everything. But it was a really good season. I think now that I look back on it, it was like a season of refinement and pruning and really recognizing like, okay, what are some things that I need to get let go of? What are some things I need to focus on? And actually, this past year for me has been another wave of that, where we've gone through a lot of challenges this year. It's like, okay, I'm like, God's obviously preparing me for something. And so
Exactly.
I really need to lean into this challenging season and figure out, what am I supposed to learn? What am I supposed to let go of? What am I supposed to do more of? And so when you're going through a challenging time, it's really hard to have this perspective, but think of it as like, okay, this challenge is refining me right now. And how am I going to show up in this challenge to become a better version of myself? I think that's where real growth happens. It doesn't happen in like the high success moments.
Oh, it's so true. Yeah, that's where you learn everything is in the hard moments. It
Mm-hmm.
really sucks when you're in it, but
Yeah.
when you have faith, and for both of us, we
Yeah.
have faith in God and a relationship with him that like, yeah, that's what really holds us through. And yeah, just an encouragement to everyone listening here, like whatever that looks like for you, whether you need to journal or you need to, speak with a friend, do that. Like, your mental health matters. And oh, I love that you shared
Mm-hmm.
those tips. So valuable. And thank you so much for sharing just everything that you did about your story and your journey. So inspiring. And I know everyone's just going to love this and share it. And where can people find you?
Yeah, thank you so much. I loved this conversation too. So thank you. You can find us on our new website, which is
Yes, that's
um,
awesome.
thank you, which is bloombusinesscollective.com. And then you can actually find us on Instagram at Bloom Business Collective as well. So those two places are where we're hanging out right now. My personal Instagram is Danny with an I, Danny Living Life. And I hang out there a little bit as well. So
Oh,
that's how you
so
can find
good.
me.
And go follow Bloom Business Collective as well. Go check out everything she's doing because she is just delivering so much value. And oh, I just love everything that you do. So, and also, if this conversation inspired you today, make sure to share the show and make sure to like and subscribe to it. And thanks again, honestly, for being on the show. It really means a lot. And for our listeners, keep showing up, keep making that impact in your life, and keep surrounding yourself with people who challenge and cheer you on. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brooklyn.
Thank you.